the police are still on constant patrol. Liverpool 8 is anything but recovered from the 5 days of violence which suddenly focused national attention on the crisis of Liverpool's inner city. The conflict between black and white youths was no sudden affair. Their battles had been growing steadily fiercer over the last few months. But the incident which brought the black gangs into Faulkner Place was the most serious so far.
Well, there was all, skinheads come down from the next area and they come smashing all these windows around here, pulling doors off the Indians, just beating up any person inside, white or black. So people around here, they come over to where we all live and asked all the half-caste boys what live there to come and help them. So everybody come over and put up barricades, tried to keep the skinheads out. But they've been in since the barricades have been up. They haven't done as much damage now.
Why do you think they do it?
Don't know, for the buzz. For bother, that's what it is, isn't it?
For what?
Bother.
For bother. Why do you think they want to be engaged in bother?
Because that's their religion, in it, skinhead religion, in it.
How long have you been involved in fighting for?
About 2.5 years.
How often is that? I mean, is that every day?
It's every day. Because every day, you're always involved in a fight, you must be. Because you must walk around, you know what I mean? And you're bound to see them sometime. And they're bound to come after you, because they always do.
Do they start it or do you start it sometimes?
Sometimes we start it, because we're getting sick of them starting it all the time.
Why do you think they come after you?
Because we're black.
Most of the skinheads, as they still call themselves, live a quarter of a mile away. They produce similar arguments to explain why they wage war on the blacks.
Because the troubles that's been going on in the last few years has just gone by without incident, and the lads now have just got together and fighting them off. Because the colours are all roaming around, smashing windows, and now we've just got together to protect our homes.
What happened these last few days that has caused the kind of battles that there have been?
Well, the team, like the lads that are around there, we've all got together, as he said, to fight them, because they've been coming up here in 40s and 50s and jumping a couple of lads on their own, like him. Sorted them out on their own.
Haven't you been doing the same thing back?
No.
No, we've been fighting the gang,
What do you think of the coloured kids?
Fair play with them.
They're all right. I mean, they just come up looking for trouble all the time. It's them coming up for trouble, the big lads.
It's a certain number, in the gang that it's causing the trouble, Like, there's 3 or 4 in it, you could name them, but you can't, we won't. We know who they are, and they don't know who they are. And the gang's following them, you know what I mean? They're bringing the gang up here.
How long have you been fighting with them?
Years, really. On and off, But all this trouble now that started has been going on for 3 weeks.
The trouble didn't used to be down here, it used to be down Hill Road,
The trouble used to be elsewhere, but it's moved here now.
Yeah.
They used to come up here, throwing bottles, petrol bombs at the kids, everything. Smash all the windows.
See that down here, didn't it, in Myrtle House, when we were all fighting. All the colours, were throwing petrol bombs through the windows. And one of the windows on the ground floor.
Could they call us white
trash? Call
us
white trash. I mean, they're always calling us names. You've got to call them back. And they end up throwing petrol bombs. That's why we can't open the club up there, because they said they're going to throw a petrol bomb in. Or smash all the windows and
they come round in cars and try and run you over and everything.
I mean, we were on a scooter last night and they come after us
in a car.
Come after us in a car.
They tried that down here, down the bottom. No, when we were all fighting down here, all the coons come round in a car.
All the?
Coons.
Coons, that's
come round in a car. You nearly run me over.
What do you think you were doing in here, though? What was the point of being in this estate?
It's where we all are,
Protect our own tenements.
We all live here, the ones who are here now all live here,
You've got to protect them, you know what I mean? Because you're going to smash all the windows.
The Faulkner Place estate is unfinished. Most of its early tenants have moved from condemned houses in the predominantly black area of Granby. The new tenants are surrounded largely by white people living in tenement blocks like the Windsor Gardens estate. It was from the Windsor Gardens that on the Friday before last, a gang of white teenagers, armed apparently with sticks, bottles and bricks, went to the Faulkner estate. It was the culmination of a series of gang skirmishes. As very few black youths live on the estate, the whites met no opposition when they arrived. They moved through it, breaking windows, smashing doors, damaging cars, and shouting racial abuse. A Afraid that the police either could not or would not protect them from the gangs, the tenants of Faulkner Place sought help from 40 or 50 black youths from the Granby Street area. The Faulkner estate has now become a territorial outpost for the black gangs, and the families here have inevitably become ensnared in the conflict. Both the black and the mixed black and white families in Faulkner Place were stunned by the attack.
Well, we were watching the film on Friday evening. It was called The Snorkel. I'll never forget it because I never seen the end of it. It was just up to the way the dog got poisoned, and all the windows went crash, and the screams of children and mothers, and footsteps running. So we naturally came out. We seen a group of youths all running and mad all over the place with bottles and bricks. So naturally we didn't know anybody like this. So I asked a woman, what's the matter? She said, all our windows are broken. I said, was that the boys shouting, niggers, get out? She said, they're them. So I said, well, we're mixed. You know, what's niggers, get out, go back to your tents, we're all mixed. So she said, oh, we'll have to get the police. So the police came in a jeep up there on the corner. Said, will you come out and help us? There's gangs of youths around us. So they said, I'm sorry, love. I said, you have to. I said, you have to get more police. I said, it's not one window, it's every window that's broke. So another one was crying. She said, please get out, officer. He said, I can't, he said. So I said, well, get more police. He said, you know what you can do for more police, love? Get on to the Home Secretary, see will he help you for more police? And then another lady came. It's only women. The group of lads came through that archway over there with more bottles, more bricks, more everything, and women were shouting on the landings.
What are you saying, that women on the landings on the estate over the road were shouting down at this estate?
Down. Yeah, at the women on the corner.
What kind of things were they shouting?
Oh, niggers, nigger lover. Sorry, you've got up out of bed with them now, one shouted from the barrier over there. Woke up out of bed with them. This woman was screaming when they were saying this. And you were trying to, you know, hush one another up, don't cry, you know, it'll be all right if these police had only come out, you know. And he was sitting back in the car, go back in your homes. I said, not likely, so they can come back with them bricks again. Not likely.
I saw big, strong youths about. So there's 14, easily 14, if not 16, running through. And then one youth let fly, and one or probably more. And the back glass in the car, the back of the car went in 2 cars by me. Then my neighbour's windows went. And then a coloured man, a Somali, came out of his house to see what was wrong, what was making the noise. And I heard one of the youths distinctly say, there's a nigger, let him have it.
We sent for the coloured boys for protection, for ourselves. There was no coloured boys on the estate, there's no coloured boys, there was none here at all. Somebody went and brought them to beat these skinheads for us. There was no coloured boys on the estate at all the night this happened. We'd only moved in one day, and there was none. And she's a girl, she's not a boy. There was no coloured boys on the estate when this thing happened. We sent for them to come and beat these skinheads. We sent for them to protect us.
The Granby Street area, a quarter of a mile to the south of the Faulkner Place estate, has for long been the home of the black community. 2nd, 3rd and 4th generation Liverpool blacks, often married to white wives, regard this as their area and seldom move away to live outside it. In Liverpool, it's known as the jungle. The jungle is decaying. House after house has become uninhabitable. Street after street is due for demolition. Every social problem thrives in this forgotten centre of the city. When unemployment becomes a national problem, here it is a disaster. There are no exact figures, but with 15% of Liverpool's youth out of work, over 30% of the city's young blacks are likely to have no jobs. But many of them are no longer prepared to accept the lot forced on their parents and grandparents. They care little for the prospect of moving to new houses, but for their parents, the possibility of a new kind of life has opened up with the chance to move into the Faulkner Place estate. But already for one or two in Faulkner Place, the events of the last fortnight have destroyed their hopes. The Stevensons moved into Faulkner Place exactly a fortnight ago. Now they want to move out again.
What did you think when you first came up here?
Well, really, I was thrilled because I was able to get a bath, which I couldn't do in the other house. Every time you got a bath, the ceiling fell in. But I really think it's a beautiful house.
It is a beautiful house.
Would you be prepared to stay here if your mother wasn't going to move out?
I'd be prepared to stay if there was no trouble, if he wasn't being persecuted by the police and also by the skinheads.
What do you think is the cause of the skinheads coming through here and breaking these windows?
Well, I think it's jealousy myself because they think that black people live in days, so why should we get new houses? They want to put us back 2 days. We've lived in Dave for long enough. We tried to keep it clean, yes.
Yes,
that's all it was.
But do you think that white people think that about you?
Well, they think we're not used to nothing. They do. They really think we're not used to nothing.
Have you come across that at all, yourself?
Well, for them to put the windows in, they must think that. For wanting us to get out of these houses, they must think something.
They heard it was all coloured. You see, they seen the lorries coming in. The removal vans coming into the bottom. You see, you can't see in the middle, a removal van, but in the end block you can. And when the removal lorry was coming in, they were all shouting, boo, more blacks. When a family come in, and their mother's wives. And they're not what you call black. There's no such thing as a nigger. That's the lowest thing you can say in humanity, is nigger. And I mean, I come from a family where we never used it. And that was in Liverpool 8.
What makes you think that people in the flats opposite are prejudiced against the people living in here?
What makes me think? Well, I don't think it was just from experience. On one occasion, I asked to be directed somewhere by a man, and actually toward the public wash house, which is strange to me, Liverpool 8. I've always been to Liverpool 1 area. And we got talking, and he said, look at those beautiful houses, he said, those niggers have got. He said, it's a bloody shame. People, he said, seen war service and so on. He said, and they're living in hovels. And I could see the man was bitter. He said, and he did definitely say, I hate them, I hate them.
A few hundred yards away, the Windsor Gardens estate has also been drawn into the conflict. The people here, mainly white families, share much of the deprivation suffered by the black community half a mile away. The tenement is overcrowded, dirty and worn out. The courtyards provide the only playgrounds in the area, the only outside meeting place for the teenagers. The atmosphere here is nervous and tired. For most, it's a life of poverty and drudgery. It was here a few days ago that resentment, built up over years, exploded momentarily in despairing anger. In Liverpool, with 42,000 families waiting to be rehoused, many are resigned to an unchanging future.
It's chronic to live in. Sometimes get a nice meal all made. Blinking roof leaks to pieces. The kids are just flooding out the place. You lift all your bits and pieces up, go down to the corporation, phone them. They just come up and say there's someone will be sent up to see you. You get no further ahead.
The old top and bottom of it with the Liverpool Corporation is they don't look after the property. When you go down and report a repair job, they just put it down in the boot at the works department. And as far as that's concerned, that's where it lies. You've got to keep going down, chasing them, and keep at it. And probably you've got to get a city councillor on with you before anything gets done.
We've had a city councillor for the past 2 years. Been going to him nearly every week. He's even taken me down to the housing. And the health people still say I'm not overcrowded.
How many of you are there in this flat?
There's my husband, myself, Michael, 23, Malcolm, 20, Kevin, 17, Shirley, 13, Tony, 9, and Donna, 7.
How long have you been trying to move out of here?
For the past 16 years.
How long have you been trying to get a house for now?
4 years. The first time I went was 4 years ago to ask for a house in Queen's Drive, where my sisters live. because there was one in the street empty. It'd been empty for at least 6 months.
What about nearer here, around here?
Well, when the house was on fire, I asked for one of these. You know, the new ones, either Beaumont Street, Faulkner Place, or even them up there. I said when they were finished, you know, I'd wait. So they said I wasn't entitled. That was for all the slum clearance. I'd have to have a flat with my children.
What's been causing all the trouble here, do you think?
Well, I can honestly say it's not true coloured people getting houses. I can rest assured it's not. Because we've lived here with coloured people. In fact, we've worked with them. It's the youngsters, it's not. I mean, these very, very old coloured people, they're ladies and gentlemen. It's only the youngsters, and it's not by no means through anyone getting houses.
Which youngsters?
Well, the kids of today now, well, I say, they've nowhere to play, have they? You know. Kids have nowhere around here to play.
I blame it on the police, like, they haven't done the job as they should done pre-war days, like, where you got a foot patrol, you haven't got it now. They're riding around in jeeps, and this doesn't combat it. You want to...
Why was there all the shouting at the police and that sort of thing? And why has there been the sort of...
The shouting at the police here was because they were dragging kids, white kids, up by the head of their hair, pulling them anyway, dragging a man out of his own house, a married man with 5 kids who had never been over the
That's just across the road there.
And that's just across the road from us here. Now, we were standing here watching that.
Well, you know, there's people in the block that always spoke to each other and everything. Now there's some people that don't speak to each other. You know, some of the women, like, even myself, there's some women there who were great friends of mine who I respected, and, you know, many times I've borrowed a few bob off them, you know, till the weekend. Now we don't speak, you know, it just seemed automatically no one seemed to speak.
How has it affected the relationships between the odd-coloured families here and the white families? Has it made any difference to that, or what?
Oh, yeah, you can see the cooling off between them, like, you know. They used to see them often talking together, but now they seem to quite shy one another, you know.
I mean, has it affected you personally? Have you?
No, oh no. Of course, we don't go down much, like, you know.
But how do you see it? Do you see just people not talking, or what? That
That's
would
it.
talk normally?
Would talk normally, yeah. They seem to be falling out, you know.
What do you personally think is the real cause of the trouble, then?
Well, whether it's jealousy or not between them, I don't know. But with the lads, it seems to be colour. The coloured lads come to, about 4 weeks ago, shouting Black Power. Whatever they mean by Black Power, I don't know. Whether they want Black Power, want power to do as they like, I don't know. Of course, I mean to say that you think the police would do something about that. Get all a couple of them that's shouting the likes of that and make an example of them, quieting them down. I mean to say, all you can see them doing now is pinching the white lads. We haven't heard of any coloured been pinched.
The outburst of hostility against the police stunned the few black families living in Windsor Gardens, who until 10 days ago lived quite amicably with their white neighbours.
They're trying to say in the newspapers that this thing's only brewed for the last 5 nights, but this trouble's gone on for the last 5 months. But it's only come to a head at the weekend, which was last week. Stone thrown and bottle thrown on the police, you know.
And what was happening in here then?
Then they blocked the 2 entrances to Windsor Gardens.
What the kids did?
The kids, yeah, boys.
Yeah.
And they started throwing bottles and stones. And some of them were using petrol bombs. And they started threatening. And then some of the neighbours round here, supposed to be your neighbours, shouting, standing on the landers, shouting over nigger lovers to the police. The police is only here to uphold the law. I've got no love for the police, which most probably a lot of people haven't. But they're only here to uphold the law. I don't know where we'd be half the time without the police. When the police was taking some of the white lads and they were shouting after them, nigger lovers, nigger lovers. I'm born in this country, so I don't know why they treat us as if we're second-class citizens. I'm not a second-class citizen. I was born here 32 years ago. And my children's not second-class citizens. My husband's a British subject, so I don't see why they should carry on like that.
And is that how you feel you're treated here?
That's how we're treated one half the time, which we are treated like that half the time.
What's it like for you living in this estate now?
Oh, it's all right in this estate for me. None of the neighbours trouble me. I think that some of the neighbours around here are very nice neighbours. Very nice black and white. But there's mostly white neighbours on this estate.
But what makes you think that you're being treated as a second-class citizen here?
The way way this trouble was last week, the way the neighbours were shouting all over the block, nigger lovers, get the niggers out. Nigger lovers, get the niggers out.
What, people across the street over there, or what?
On the far side of the tenements. Not only them, on the far side, all around, all the people living around us.
How have people been treating each other since then?
There's just been a horrible atmosphere in there. They've never treated me out of the way, which they wouldn't. They haven't treated me anyway, but it's just, you know, that atmosphere, this nigger business, nigger business. Nobody's troubled me, nobody's ever insulted me. They're all nice, as far as I know. But when I seen that last week, I know that there's people got us in them, there's hatred in them, from what I seen the way they carried on.
The police are still patrolling the area heavily. Both black and white make frequent allegations about police harassment and in some cases unnecessary aggression. Perhaps because of the tension in the area, the police are unwilling to discuss publicly either their methods or the job they're trying to do in Liverpool 8. Without doubt, however, the police are serving at the moment to keep the black and white youths apart. It is not an exercise for which the teenagers are grateful.
On Friday night, the skinheads was in this area for 2 hours, and the police wasn't around.
But are you saying you want to have the police around?
Not really, no.
Because when the police are around, they only arrest us.
When the
come in here with shields and everything, and start throwing all kinds of licks on everybody.
But aren't they just trying to stop the fighting between both sides?
They are, but it's here. You see all the
but
police.
They go for the smaller side.
Up in Windsor Gardens, where all the skinheads are, there's no jeeps or nothing. There are all the police are around here every night.
Brownie, the way we had to go after the skin because the police were scared of them.
I know.
How many? Has anyone here been picked up by the police?
Me? Yeah. Everybody here must have done.
How do you think? Yes. How do you think white people in general regard you?
Regard us. They think we're savages, don't they?
We look at it this way. They pick 9 times out of 10. It's 9 white fellas they pick up to their one. For the simple fact that they get picked up, the police get put on their back. That they're victimised. The colour to saying it's victimisation against them. Discrimination and everything.
So, are you accusing the police of discriminating against you?
It is.
They were discriminating us, you know. It was more the police. In the end, more the trouble was over the police. The way they used themselves.
Why do you think that the police discriminate against you? What makes you think they do?
Because they think that the colours...
Can I ask you?
Right, do you think, you know, they're scared of the colours.
But don't you expect the police to try and stop the fighting between you and the other
Oh,
gang?
yeah, as long as they do it both ways. But they don't, they just pick on one side like us. They don't do it both ways.
What do you think is likely to happen here now?
No. It'd probably just be a big, massive fight, and someone bound to get killed.
Would most of you go out now and just fight for the sake of fighting anyone who's around?
No, them lot over there. Everybody here
fight
would,
for the
because they
sake
took enough
that
stick
they're
from
causing
them.
trouble.
Sorry?
Just fight for the sake that they're causing trouble with us. That's all.
But can you see that they might think that you're causing trouble with them?
No, they come down here causing trouble with us, so we're going to retaliate and not stand around like a gang of fools.
Do you think, is there any danger that you might get more people involved? That your parents or your relations get involved and the skinheads' parents and relations?
Well, they're involved already, aren't they? Because if they're going to hit little 9-year-old kids, they're not going to worry who else they hit.
Why do you think blacks and white will always be fighting?
Well, it's the same ones who
they've
caused
got
the
less
fight.
than us. Now, most of them colour fellas down there have got a bum stay. Like, they have, you know, don't care what anybody says. Like, most of them haven't got jobs. They've got no club or nothing. They used to have one, but they haven't now. So they've got nowhere to go. You can't blame them, like, really, for fighting, you know what I mean? But looking for trouble. Because they got nothing else to do, really, you know. And, you know, if you've got no money, like, you can't go downtown, like, you know what I mean?
Do you think the same, that's true of most of the white kids as well?
No.
Well,
some of them, you know, a lot of them who are there, like this, you know, who come to fight, like they haven't got jobs neither, you know. But you know, that's the main reason it is they've got nothing for them. There's nothing for the colour fellas, like, you know. That's where I'm on their side, you know what I mean?
Yet you're prepared to have a real go at them?
Only because they come, if I didn't, like, they'd smash me head in anyway, you know what I mean?
What do you expect to do? How long do you expect to go on fighting?
As long as they do, you know. Like, we won't stop, and they won't stop, you know. It'll quieten down, but it'll never stop, it'll never cease.